Hello, viewership, and welcome back to the infamous gentleman playing Stronghold, the Definitive Edition. I am the Bard, and I am joined by...
Doctor.
And the Sprite.
Were you taking a drink?
I was taking a drink,
Good lord.
sorry.
That was like our third attempt at that intro as well. God, we suck.
Which is why I decided I had time for a drink.
We're certainly pushing on. I think we've got the wolf on the ropes
This is the
now.
second to last mission now.
The penultimate, would you say?
Yep, we've taken Yorkshire and we're moving into Cumbria. And
he's taking to the field himself, apparently.
And then Northumbria is the final site of the final battle. Much wailing and gnashing of teeth.
I absolutely could only read that as gnashing.
Wolf's reign appears to be drawing to a close. More counties begin to overthrow his henchmen and flock to your banner.
Turncoats.
Liberating the kingdom at last.
But I drove the sword through his stomach.
Oh, he's just revealed it was him who killed our father.
I'm shocked. It's almost like this is some kind of video game.
To hear word from Solomon, you are still determined to avenge your father's death and command your troops to march onwards. Upon arriving in the next county, a message arrives from Solomon.
I told you to be cautious. What were you thinking? You do not have a hope against the wolf on open ground. Take shelter in his deserted castle and hold them off from where you are until I can get to you with reinforcements.
Reinforcement.
Really, the player character is a bit of a dum-dum, isn't he? He just listened to Sir
Well,
Logarm.
we're also just, some rich lord's kid, basically. We're like a Nepo baby, so... we weren't really ready to be in this position anyway.
You're the
Use
Brooklyn
knights to
Beckham of
conduct
1066.
sorties out of the castle.
Oh yes, you know how I love Knights, Doctor.
Yep, so we've got a little castle here that is relatively
A little
well defended.
castle.
But crucially, we have stables here which have 4 horses in use. So that will allow us to produce 4 knights. As long as we have 4 swords, 4 armour, and 4 horses available. So now we have them. So if we find them here, here we go.
Wonderful.
Distance is no problem. We have knights.
Oh, they're so fast.
Yeah, they are absurdly fast. That's their thing.
Majestic.
And at least here we've got like all of our stuff behind us here. Like I believe we've got bakeries around there. Yep. So at least most of that side of things is handled quite nicely on this mission.
I thought you were going to say baconries. I was like, oh, because she defeated the pig.
Baconry, yep. But the issue is now those 4 horses are in use. And so the stables remains there, but it's empty. And if we want to build more knights, we need to build more stables to hold more horses.
Oh.
That's the problem with knights, is maintaining them is extremely difficult in that way. And where is the thing for building them? It's castle building, military buildings, stables. So yeah, stables cost wood and a shit ton of gold, and they physically take up a lot of space for 4 horses.
But Knights, Doctor. But Knights.
Yes. Oh no, remember me wrong.
Knights
I'm
are
using
not
a lot
that
of them.
good.
They're fun though in this, I will fully admit.
I've seen... Now that we're finally on Knights, I've read very conflicting things about the use of heavy cavalry in the Middle Ages. So
Go on.
some people seem to think that like they are absolutely devastating, that if you deploy heavy cavalry and your opponent doesn't have heavy cavalry, you win, basically. That basically like poorly armoured and equipped peasants cannot stand up to them.
Yeah.
But then I read other things that like you can't deploy heavy cavalry against well-drilled pikemen, you can't deploy heavy cavalry against well-drilled archers, which makes me think that, well, both of these things can't be true, right? So it must depend on the circumstances, it must depend on the kind of heavy cavalry you're deploying and like who you're fighting, etc, etc. Although this is very cool, just watching your knights run around and mop everything up.
Yeah, that's the joy of them. Of like, here they're starting with like tunnels and things like that, and this is the strength of knights, is that they are just so maneuverable on the battlefield. They can basically just let your other defenses do their own thing.
That's certainly historically what they're probably used for. So one of the main
it's kind of
uses
sorties, essentially, yeah.
Exactly, and one of the main uses of cavalry in any time period is that like as soon as your opponent breaks and runs, you can use cavalry to run them down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is as much just about the mass and the speed of a horse than actually the fighting force of the people on it. Like, basically, you don't have to be an amazing fighter when you're on a horse.
Exactly. Moreover, as we've talked about at length, even horses aren't stupid enough to run into like large, solid blocks of spiky things.
Yeah.
But maybe you're fighting people that aren't well drilled or well prepared enough to like quickly form a shield wall or like a pike or spear formation that would deter a cavalry charge. And in those cases, maybe heavy cavalry is as devastating in the Middle Ages as you would expect it to be.
Like here, I'm just keeping the fuck away from his swordsmen because I just know they aren't ever going to find my knights. And as long as I can just keep them on the move, it'll be fine. And then they'll just be shot by the guys on the wall.
Yeah.
They've got knights as well, which are a little bit more alarming, but hopefully it won't come to that.
I see more knights than you have as well.
Yeah, which is why I want to build some good things soon to give my guys a bit of a fighting edge. But realistically, he's just trying to pillage, so... Which is a bit annoying. He's using my woodcutters! Everyone fights like such a fucking dickhead on there.
There is certainly like
Says you, Sir Jebs, a lot.
Hey! But at least when these guys die, their horses can be used again.
Oh, really?
Yep. But basically, it's about the space in the stables, and this will then free up stable space for those horses again.
Again, a not unrealistic thing. So, like, quite often it was seen as really bad form for a knight to kill another knight's horse. You think, oh yeah, the code of chivalry, that's so honourable. Well, actually, horses are really valuable commodities, and like, if you could take the other guy's horse and take him prisoner, you stood to earn quite a lot of money when you ransomed him back to his family, his duke, his king.
Why are you fixing graves?
I know you're doing it for convenience, Doctor, but come on.
No.
it just looks so shonky.
I don't care.
Oh my god, that's a lot of knights.
Yep. The goal of this mission is basically just produce knights. As many as you can, as quickly as you can. Because basically the defences will hold fine. As long as you don't let people build up outside. It's military buildings, isn't it? Yeah, staples there. So let's build another staples there, and staples there, and then those will slowly furnish themselves with horses over time. And this needs a bit of... Well, it does need a bit of repair work. Perfect. That's pretty good, actually. Those good things that basically just make sure if I am meeting horses, I want my horses to have an edge over their horses. Yeah. So that's me giving it... Okay, let's build a little pond there then. How about that?
Lovely.
A dancing bear, that's a good thing.
Oh.
Let's not build that. Let's build a phallic symbol. Look at the children dancing around the symbol of the penis.
Very good.
I don't know about you, but I've never twisted a ribbon around a penis. Maybe I'm missing out on some fun, but I feel like I'm in the right there.
Sometimes a man can get lonely. You have to understand.
Everything once. All things once.
That's how it fucking drops off.
Yeah, it's like how you castrate a sheep or whatnot, where you like tie a thing around them and then their bollocks fall off.
Barbaric.
True though.
It's only because you know someone who can whip out testicles in like 3 seconds flat.
Yeah.
A vet, by the way, not a psychopath.
I was going to say, like, can we just clarify that, please? So many knights, Doctor.
Oh yeah.
You have something in mind?
We shall dispatch them. They have like the most posh voice imaginable, the knights.
That's because they're fucking aristocracy wankers.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. To be fair, I know that certainly on several of the Crusades, not everybody who was a horse and armoured was necessarily a nobleman. So there's the development of sergeants or sergeants or men-at-arms, effectively, who are mounted troops who are professional soldiers in service of a particular nobleman, but they're not nobility themselves. Like, they were also featured as part of the organisational structure of several of the knightly orders, or the military orders.
The Knights Templar, well, not the Templars, that was a whole different thing, but yes.
Well, the Knights Templar would have had men-at-arms, and they get like an outsized reputation for whatever reason, the Knights Templar, like, because there's loads of sorts of bizarre conspiracy theories about them.
Which Assassin's Creed thing,
yeah, which is just a bit strange. But like, there are several big knightly orders, so the chief ones being the Knights Templar, the Knights Hospitaller, and
those ones, they were active a lot during the Crusades, weren't they? The Hospitallers.
Precisely. So they're technically pan-international organisations. So that if you were a knight of any nation,
now we see the real advantage of knights. As soon as an attacking force comes, I can just smash up what's going to be their siege equipment and tunnels.
This is kind of satisfying.
Before their engineers get to them.
This must have been like a valid use for cavalry. Like, just you have the ability to quickly project strength.
Yeah. Oops, that's a catapult. Guys, take it up. There we go. That's the advantage.
Smashy, smashy.
Pretty much. They've got a few knights, but I've got more, and mine will fight a lot better than theirs will. And I put mine on aggressive stance, so they'll just go around breaking shit.
Because you've got lots of good things, Doctor.
Yeah, exactly. And on this one, it's just like production doesn't matter on this level because you start with so much, like so many things. I'll just break these tents. Fuck it.
There's a very long Western tradition of like heavy cavalry or heavy horse. So I know that Alexander the Great and Philip of Macedon, who was spoken about before on previous recordings, have the companion cavalry.
Yeah.
Who are basically like a bunch of noblemen riding around on horses with heavy lances. And you kind of think that's basically the same principle as a knight.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't have used that word, but nevertheless, that's basically what a knight is.
Yeah.
Although companion cavalry really sounds like the
Sounds gay.
prostitutes.
So I was going to say, it's Alexander the Great, so it's probably gay as fuck. Yes.
I don't want to get bogged down in a debate of Alexander's sexuality because we'll never know. But like, yeah, almost definitely liked men.
Yeah.
But
okay, I was thinking just
there was some
prostitutes in general.
There was some like Game of Thrones style thing recently about like Alexander the Great, and a load of like gammons were complaining, saying like, "Oh, they're already making him a bit gay," and someone were like, "Do they know about the Greeks and the Macedonians in history?"
Something to say, like, did they know about all the gayness?
The answer is no, because they repress it.
Yeah, clearly.
I've done quite a bit of reading around this. Like, there's a lot of contemporaneous evidence. So there's a letter from one of Alexander's generals to another one of his generals to say that Alexander, like, he was basically favouring one of his favourites called, I think it's Hephaestion, who is one of his captains who's rumoured to be his lover, who I think eventually he promoted to be head of the companion cavalry. But like he says, Alexander's a slave to Hephaestion's thighs. It's like, pretty straightforward.
It's so funny when like people read into that and they're like, "Oh yeah, look at this cool military stuff," and it's like, yes, there is that. But if you read anything about Alexander the Great, you're just like, well, this is the gayest general of all time, basically.
Yeah. There was when Hephaestion dies, like Alexander supposedly like flies into a rage. Like he has the doctor who treated Hephaestion executed. Like he spends like a week like mourning him. Like he builds a whole bunch of massive statues to him. Like,
and his thighs?
and his shapely thighs. Like he loses his mind basically, and to some extent never really recovers because he dies a couple of years later. Yeah. And you kind of think, I mean, that might just be the reaction to the death of a close male friend and comrade, or you know, we'll never know. It's not worth speculating too much on, but nevertheless, you can do some reading about this viewership and make up your own mind. I certainly have.
Well, as the viewer may or may not know, I'm
also a gay Macedonian general.
I'm also a gay Macedonian general. I often accidentally erase a lot of like gay stories because I think friendship's like really important. I'm close to my friends in a platonic way, but I very much am like, no, my friends are in a lot of ways the most important relationships in my life. So when I'm watching or reading media that's quite clearly about a gay couple, but they're portraying it as they're just good friends, I'm like, no, it's okay to just be good friends with people.
It's just John, the disciple whom Jesus loved.
Yeah, and it's like, oh.
Which he's referred to every single time, specifically as the disciple whom Jesus loved. None of the rest of them get that.
We were talking about this in our recent rewatch of Lord of the Rings, weren't we? It's like,
what, whether Jesus is gay?
No. Shut up, you. We were talking about how, like, obviously there's loads of, like, Frodo and Sam are, like, a gay couple, basically. And it's like, well, maybe, but, like, something Lord of the Rings does that very few other Hollywood blockbusters do is that, like, it's all basically a series of male friendships. And, like, you're not used to having your exclusively male cast do all the emotional heavy lifting, because usually that's the space occupied by a romantic relationship between typically men and women in a Hollywood movie. So everyone's like, oh yeah, Frodo and Sam are so gay, and it's like, fair enough, it's one reading of the film, like you can interpret that however you want, but is it just because these are close male friendships taking up the emotional landscape that we usually associate with romantic relationships?
Yeah.
I think there's something in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, and it's just, yeah, I've said this before, one of the things I really like about Lord of the Rings is it has a lot of just very positive male relationships. Like the men cry and hug each other and like say like, it is great to see you, my friend, and talk like how much they love each other, and it's like in a completely platonic way, and it's really fucking healthy.
Yeah, I concur. I very much concur, and I think that's misconstrued as like other things for people who maybe try to poke fun at the movies, and that's fair enough.
I can't say anything. When I was very young, my dad basically said to me that some people think that the relationship is homosexual, but it's meant to be about friendship, and they don't understand. So I heard that before I was old enough to really figure it out. So that's always been my default.
Anyway, we're straight interesting discussion, but we're straight a little. Oh my god, that's a lot of siege engines.
We'll be fine.
That's what your horse boys are for.
Yep.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, this now has the slight problem with this game of just like controlling a lot of forces is difficult.
Can you put them on like aggressive?
Yes, but they won't attack the tents. They won't attack them until they're actually ready.
Right.
That's the problem. Like here now, they're waiting for them to kind of come out, but frankly, yeah, they'll be fine.
We can go back and talk, I suppose, about the knightly orders a little bit. So
yes.
the three that I mentioned are the ones that I know the most about. So the Knights Hospitaller, the Knights Templar, and the other big one is the Teutonic Order.
Yes.
They didn't actually call themselves that, but like it's the German answer to the Knights Templar and the Knights Hospitaller. I think, and then there's the Knights of the Order of St. John. I think those might also be the Hospitaller or a subsect. I'm not sure.
Bard, if you're going to talk about this, it might be worth explaining what all these things are.
Yes, I'm building to that, right. So effectively, these are groups of warrior monks. Usually they're made up of noblemen, knights, who are never going to inherit.
Running down
Look at them running
ways.
away! This is, to be fair, this is how cavalry works. Look at them run!
That shows you how fast macemen run. It's one of their advantages as a unit is that they're bloody fast in a way, but they're whilst being
fast as a horse.
much cheaper than knights.
Oh shit! No.
Oh no, they're fine. Like,
Yeah, I thought you dropped when you dropped the map. I thought you dropped they dropped the tower, and I was like, no.
That's just me. Yeah, no, crossbows will take the rest of these out easily. Continue.
Yeah, so these military orders, some of them are set up either right before or sometimes even during the Crusades.
Yeah, it's basically a kind of like faith militant kind of setup.
Exactly. So just to use the Knights Hospitaller, they are set up initially to form like a kind of a monastic hospital near Jerusalem. So that like the casualties from all the warring and fighting in the Holy Land had somewhere to go.
Oh dear.
But then they quickly develop and go way, way beyond their kind of like just healing remit. So they start to protect pilgrims that are traveling to the Holy Land. And then once they've got a sizable military force, they end up actually becoming directly involved in the conflict. So
They're also a decent propaganda effort on behalf of the church out there as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So people like noblemen who died would sometimes donate their entire fortune to the knightly orders. So like if you were ill and you wanted to like guarantee your place in the Christian afterlife, you would leave all of your property on death to the Knights Templar or the Knights Hospitaller. So the Templars actually become so unbelievably rich at one point that they kind of stop being a knightly order and become more like a bank.
Yeah.
So the military prowess kind of diminishes over time and they become like a banking order.
They kind of hinted that in Game of Thrones with the Iron Bank of Bravos is supposed to have a similar background.
Yeah.
Like mercenary forces become banking force, essentially.
Yeah. It's a really fascinating development. Like, the life cycle, I suppose, of these knightly orders. The one that I'm most familiar with is the Teutonic Order, which becomes so powerful that it ends up controlling a small nation state in what is now Prussia, or what was Prussia. So, like, it's really interesting the impact that they have. That they effectively went out to fight the Baltic pagans in a kind of Baltic crusade, but because they amassed so much land and influence and wealth, they effectively colonized that part of the world. And it's a major reason that like that bit of the world became German-speaking, as they filled it up with German colonists. They forced the people of the Baltic to convert to Christianity. Without these guys, you probably don't get a German Prussia.
Well, that's the thing, they're also the reason kind of why, until, basically the turn of the last century, Teutonic was the primary word used to describe what we would now call German. Like, Germanic peoples or anything like that. At that point, I mean, Germany comes from Germania, which was a Roman province, but then there was no concept of Germany in the Middle Ages, but there was a concept of kind of the Teutonic areas, just because of the scale of these mercenary forces.
Yeah, it's maybe a bit misleading to think of them as mercenaries. So like, what would typically happen? Certainly the Teutonic Order, they garrisoned castles in Prussia, let's say, on the Baltic coast, and then during the campaigning season, the princes and kings of Europe would send them huge quantities of men. So there's accounts of, at the height of their power, the Brotherhood would command tens of thousands of troops that were kind of volunteer soldiers from all across Europe. They would go on campaign for the season, and then everyone who wasn't a member of the Order would go home. The Order would kind of garrison the captured territory, and then they would just repeat every year and make incremental gains for them. further and further into the Baltic. And it was the same situation in the Holy Land with the Hospitallars and the Templars.
Yeah.
We've come to the end of the episode.
Well, we're going to wrap this level up, and then we'll wrap the episode up, and then it'll be on to the final level.
With many of his men.
Dang.
Well, that was
I
it.
said... Oh. That was it. He's about to escape your clutches.
He's escaped, and now this time he's escaped back to his mountain stronghold in Northumbria, and that's where we'll be taking him on next episode in a siege that I don't remember being as bad as the one against the pig. Honestly, I remember that one as being the brutal one, partly because there's a way you can jeb this by putting a trebuchet up on a hill.
Jebbing
Terrific.
doesn't sound like it.
I mean, it's not even jebbing it. It doesn't feel like jebbing because it is actually like it's using the thing as an advantage. It's not like the last one where it's like you have to do it and make sure they don't see you. But if they see you, suddenly they can see you everywhere at all times. It's less.
Wait, hang on, Doctor.
Jebbing.
You said a trebuchet. Don't you mean a trebuchet?
Not your best work.
Trejev? No.
No.
Okay. All right. On that note, we'll
The
probably.
sprite's
end it.
just sitting here frowning. So
I apologise
Does
for
that
nothing.
sound like me?
yes,
Fuck off.
Well, in any case, I've been the Bard.
I've been the Doctor.
And I've been the Sprite.
Thank you very much, and good day.
Good day.